Chapter 19, Conclusion. So I'm going to skip Chapter 18 because Chapter 18 really is more for the Principles of Bookkeeping unit. It just explains errors really, but it's mainly for the Principles of Bookkeeping unit, and it's already seen where you might have to sort of do a correction of an error that doesn't adjust the trial balance earlier on in the book. So Chapter 19, Conclusion then. Let's first of all sort of look at the exam and look at what you're going to probably then sort of see really. And so you've got this understanding of the setup of bookkeeping systems in here. So this is where we're going from reconciling the 5-stage accountancy system really, where we're going from one piece of document or whatever into a daybook, or a daybook into a ledger or what have you really. So sort of understanding the setup of it. You might have some additional bits where we're discussing digital systems, digital accounting systems, or what have you. But that's really sort of our understanding of the setup really. How does that link forward? And so you've got chapter 13 really to be able to sort of see how things move backwards and forwards, and what's going into what reconciliations, that kind of thing. Then we've got some processing of the customer transactions here. So we've got our things like our purchase orders, purchase invoices into the purchase daybooks, payments of suppliers, that kind of thing, with suppliers some remittance advice, something like that. Processing of the supplier transactions, so we are the seller in this instance, so we got the sales invoices, the sales ledgers, trade receivables control account, those are kind of reconciliations going forward, going into perhaps sort of credit notes and what have you. The processing of receipts and payments, so the cash book and petty cash book in here really. So we've got our debit and credit sides of the cash book, and debit and credit side of the petty cash book, and the impress system there. So quite big section here on the cash book, your fifth of the exam. So your fifth of the exam in each of these ones in here, and then we're moving into moving things from our daybooks into our ledger accounts, and in there also as well the creation of trial balances from a sort of a set of figures. So there we go, we've got that kind of thing again. So you should hopefully have these ones down in terms of your double entry bookkeeping really here. So double entry bookkeeping in the first chapters 1 to 5 for this one here really, sort of in terms of what our double entries are. This one's here, understanding our various sort of source documents and whatever. So this is the cash book one here. So the cash book one and the petty cash one. These two really here are source documents, how we get into those ones and how they go into the daybooks, and maybe reconciliations between them, movements in here. And then this one in here, our sort of whole of the 5-stage accountancy system and digital accounting systems going along there. So that's the layout of it. Hopefully now you should have a really strong grasp of that. How long should you study? Well, probably it's the Unit 65 guided learning hours. So it's 65 hours worth of time that you should be taking in this one. Make them effective. Can you do it in less time? You can. So you can do it in less time. But should you? It's probably going to be about 30 direct taught hours if you're doing it with tutors, and then 35 self-study. But should you do it in less time or not? And what's the real key thing that you need to take away from this unit? You must take away from this unit a strong understanding of the money movements in a financial system. So why is something a debit and why is something a credit? You can get through this particular unit, and you can pass it by using things like dead click, let's say, to convert the opening trial balance or a set of numbers into an opening trial balance. You can in this one sort of get through and produce some journals using dead click as well. You won't get away with that when you start to move into you might sort of scrape it away with it in the principles of bookkeeping controls, although you won't do very well in the errors questions in that one. But when you start to hit advanced bookkeeping and you've got areas swinging backwards and forwards, that really then is where if you don't take away a strong understanding of the money movements in the financial system, why something's a debit, why something's a credit, you'll really struggle in the advanced bookkeeping at level 3 really. So that's the key thing that you must take away from this one. As noted earlier in this sort of series, if you're really struggling with debits and credits still, if you go and do the sort of the paper and cups method that's sort of set out in the playlist really, and just do that with the paper and the cups, it's 40 minutes long, but it's well worth it. So it really does fix double entry bookkeeping entirely. You can't not get it really by the end of that thing there, and it'll be the best 40 minutes sort of taken if you're struggling with it. Hopefully that should have got you through now the whole of the unit, and put you in a good position that you're in a strong way to be a bookkeeper. One last sort of thought, really, people sort of ask, is this a good test of bookkeeping? And I suppose really the problem is that it's all a little bit bitty. If you went back to sort of, let's say, 30 years ago when you were trained, and probably even 20 years ago, talking to another chartered accountant recently, we would only be trained on one sort of client, and we would create the whole of the final trial balance, going all the way through all the source documents and all the various ledgers and whatever. So all of it would build together to produce a trial balance, and that would mean that you would have to understand how, in that chapter 13, how it all fitted together. So that's the reason why I do chapter 13 with a recap and how it's sort of slotting backwards and forwards. And you would have to create that from all the various sort of things for one single client, and then you would produce a set of books from them. Really, that would be bookkeeping. Now that would be to do that. We sort of train for 3 weeks solid to be able to do that. So more hours really than it would be this one and the principles of bookkeeping controls at a higher level. You'd be doing all sort of financial statements as well at the same time. But the AAT exam has limitations in terms of the way in which it can be marked. So it's effective in terms of cost effective for you to be marked and to get through it. Do you need to sort of to be able to do this properly in real life? Connect it all together. I think that's the important thing. You do see an example of that in the what I put as the ultimate double entry bookkeeping questions, where you can see journals going into T accounts, going into the trial balances. So if you want to sort of see a little bit more of reality, then that's there. If there was the day books in between, then that would make it even more realistic. Hopefully, it's a good test, and you can then sort of take this into practice and sort of then actually know what's going on. So it's good from that point of view. And good luck for the exam. I hope you do well. If you can, leave us some comments in terms of how you got on, really, and the scores that you got. Much appreciated, just to see, cheer you on, and so hope you go well. See you in the next book. Bye bye.